Hi students, we're going to start with our last unit here. We have unit 6 as we mentioned yesterday, which was the gender divide. Now in this unit we are going to discuss the grammar, and then they have the form, meaning and function part as we did in the previous units. Now first, we took in the grammar part the infinitive and the gerund. We discussed the difference between them. Do you remember these examples that we took? We have here, you will forget to revise the lesson if you keep wasting time on games. You will forget revising the lesson if you are not paying attention. Do you remember when we said that there is a difference between these two sentences in meaning? Now, when you read them, do you realize that, yes, they might be close to each other, but using the infinitive or the gerund here, it gives a different meaning in each sentence. Also, Amal remembers to revise grammar weekly is totally different from Amal remembers revising the grammar or the part about infinitives and gerunds. Ahmed tried to understand by himself is different from Ahmed tried understanding the rules from Ain lessons without asking the teacher. They have stopped to take a break from studying. They have stopped taking breaks all the time and concentrated more on studying. The teachers regret to tell students that they have failed the exam. The teachers regret telling students that they have failed the exam when they feel upset. It is not easy. So what did we discuss? We said that we have here the two parts which give different meanings. We can use either the gerund, which is the ing form of a verb that functions the same as a noun. Like when we say running is fun. Now we have here in this sentence, running is the gerund, it acts like a noun. And on the other part, we have here the infinitive, which is the formed of a verb, but doesn't act like a verb. It acts as a noun, an adjective, or an adverb. Like when we say, I love to swim, it can function, as we said, as a noun, as an adjective, or an adverb in the sentence. And we agreed that they come after one of these 5 verbs in the sentence. Either we have here regret, stop, try, remember, or forget. And in these verbs, they can be formed in the present, the past, or in the future. So this part is not related to using the gerund or the infinitive in the sentence. That you can turn them into the tense that is suitable for the sentence and use the gerund and the infinitive at the same time. Yes, let's start with the first one we have here. Now we are going to complete each sentence with the correct form of the verb in the brackets that we have. Now, I often forget the mail, then the next day my mailbox is full. So we are going to use the verb check. Now the hint here is first to decide where should we correct the sentence. First, you are going to choose or decide what is in the sentence. What can you see in the sentence? So first of all, we are going to underline the part that has forget, because actually forget is one of the 5 verbs that we said. And after that, you will decide to use either the gerund or the infinitive, depending on the meaning of the sentence. So we have here, I often forget the mail. Then the next day, my mailbox is full. It is like a task. It is something that you have to do. So when you have something, you have to do it. We're going to say that I often forget to check the mail. The second one, I regret the car. It was too expensive. So first of all, we have here the verb regret. And we have here buy. Now, you regret doing something that happened in the past. Here we can use the gerund and say, I regret buying the car. Number 3, my father lost his job and we were low on money, so we stopped out at restaurants until he got a new job. And we have here eat. So here we can see that we have the verb stopped, and then we are going to add eat. So something that we stopped doing, we can say that we have here, we stopped eating out. Did you remember out the garbage? So we have here the verb did. And we have here, this is a task, something that you have to do. So we have here, did you remember to take out the garbage? Number 5, I tried you last night, but your phone went straight to voicemail. So we have here first the verb tried in the sentence, and you're going to add call. So here we can use either and say, I tried to call you, or we can say, I tried calling you if I'm mentioning something in the past. Thank you for your application. We regret that we decided to hire someone else for the job, and we have here inform. So here we have this verb regret, and this is something that has to be done. So we are going to say, we regret to inform you. 7, I don't remember in that house because we moved when I was 2 years old. Now we can see that we have here the verb remember, and something in the past, we're going to say that I don't remember living in that house. Number 8, we drove for 4 hours before we had to stop gas. So first of all, we can see that we have the verb stop, and we have here, we have to stop to do something. So we had to stop to get gas. I hope he remembers to the library after school today. So we have here the verb remembers is in the sentence, and something that he has to do. We have here, I hope he remembers to go to the library. After that, we have here, my grandmother has problems with her memory. However, she will never forget raise her family or raise. Now we have here, we can see that we have the verb forget, and something in the past, we can say forget raising her family. Now we have, this is the first exercise. Also, we mentioned that we can use the infinitive and the gerund with the passive form. So you can see that you are more likely to be told a lie by a man for a different reason. They dislike being asked to do such tasks. So what's the difference? Yes, you can see that the difference is, we have here the first one, to be is used in the sentence, and the second one, being, is used in the sentence. So here, we are going to use either the infinitive form, which is to be, or the gerund form, which is being, but the basic verb, we are going to turn it into the past participle. Why? Because we are dealing with the passive. So we have here, this is the basic thing that we took. Now you can see that we have here to be plus the past participle. Now, for example, everybody wants to be respected. Or using being plus the past participle, being asked to settle an argument can be awkward. Yes, let's start with our exercise. Now, the first thing that you are going to do, you are going to just take out or delete the subject. You can just leave it at the end of the sentence. This is something to do. But basically, from our basic form of the new structure that we are going to do, we are going to just ignore the subject. So let's start ignoring. First of all, let's start from here. Now, I don't like someone telling me to do. We are going to ignore someone here. And you are going to focus on the verbs that you have in the sentence. We have here, after the subject, telling me to do my homework. So we have here telling is the basic here verb, and we can also focus on to do. My grandfather remembers people giving him gifts when he was a child. So we are going to just ignore people, and we have here, we are going to focus on giving. He wants someone to give him the answer. Ignore someone and just focus on to give. We can see here the verbs. Sheila wants her mother to help her. We are going to just ignore the subject here, which is of course our mother. We have here Sheila wants her mother to help her, and we are going to just focus on to help. Babies like someone talking to them. Of course, we are going to ignore the subject and focus on talking. The cat wants its owner to feed it. We are going to ignore the owner and just focus on to feed. Now, this is the first part that I helped you with. We decided where is the subject, and we're going to take him out or them out. And then where is the verb? Now, the second thing that you are going to do now, depending on the verb that you have, you are going to use the passive form. Now you can see in the first one, in number 1, and in number 2, we have here the gerund. And number 3 and number 4, we can see that we have here the infinitive. Number 5, use the gerund, and number 6 has the infinitive. So here, you know how to turn into the passive now. Of course, the passive is going to be either to use either to be, or you are going to use being, plus the past participle, which is the third form of the verb. So let's start working. We have here the first one. I don't like being told to do my homework. We have here I don't like, then I used being because we have here the gerund, and then I completed the sentence, told to do my homework. I turned telling into the past participle. Why? Because we have here being in the sentence. After that, we have here, my grandfather remembers people giving him gifts when he was a child. We can change and say that my grandfather remembers. We ignored people. And we have here being. Why being? Because there was an ing, the gerund. And after that, we turned give into the past participle, given, and completing. Gifts when he was a child. He wants someone to give him the answer. He wants to be given the answer. We can see also we used what we have here. We deleted the subject, and we have here to be instead of to give. Give is turned into given, which is the past participle. And then we have the rest of the sentence. Sheila wants her mother to help her. We can say that Sheila wants to be helped by her mother. We did the same thing. But here, you can just use the subject at the end. We have here, she wants to be helped by her mother, when you want to mention the subject. But mainly, what did we do? We turned the verb into the past participle, and we used the infinitive passive because we had here, the infinitive was used, basically. And then we have here number 5, babies like someone talking to them. It turns into babies like being talked to. The cat wants its owner to feed it. We can say that the cat wants to be fed by its owner. And we use the subject at the end as we did before. So now you know how to just change the sentence to passive using either be or to be actually, or being in the sentence. The basic thing that you're going to do is turn the verb into the past participle. And of course, now you know how to decide which one to use. Moving on. We also talked about using the auxiliary verbs in sentences. Of course, we know that there is a relationship and they help the main verb in the sentence. Now here, the structure was how to use the auxiliary verbs after but and in the sentence. So we have here 2 sentences in each part. These 2 sentences, we are going to join them using either but or and then after that we are going to use the auxiliary verb. So here we can use the auxiliary at the very end of the sentence, or we can just add a little part depending on which connector. We're going to see the first one. My brother doesn't like talking about work. My father doesn't like talking about work. So we have here, they are both on the same length. We have here the wavelength. We have here, they both don't like, which means that I can use and. We have here, my brother doesn't like talking about work, and my father doesn't either. And in other ways, you can say also, my brother doesn't like talking about work, and neither does my father. But we have here the first one, doesn't either. It proves that we used the auxiliary at the end of the sentence. Number 2, I don't like arguing. She doesn't like arguing. It's the same thing. Both of them don't, which means that I can use and. I don't like arguing, and neither does she. Sabah is in high school. Her friend Hanan is in a high school, so still we are together, which means that we have here also and. Sabah is in high school, and Hanan is too. Now you can see that we have here is and does or doesn't. They all came at the end of the sentence. We have here Jody doesn't like to cook. Gwen likes to cook. Here they are different. So there's no similarities. This time we have a difference, which means that we can use but Jody doesn't like to cook, but Gwen does. So here, we can see that does came at the very end of the sentence. But when you have here and, when you use and in the sentence, you can just add, as we have here in the sentence, to or either. There is a part that can be added at the end. Tom doesn't have a job. His brother has a job. There is a difference here. Now we can say that Tom doesn't have a job, but his brother does. We're not going on a trip. They're not going on a trip. Similarity, which means that we have here, we're not going on a trip and they aren't either. Or we have here, we're not going on a trip and neither are they. He's not old enough to travel on his own. His brother old enough, or here we have just a small part which is missing, which we can correct now and say that his brother is old enough to travel on his own. And after that we can complete saying he's not old enough to travel on his own, but his brother is. Our classmates don't enjoy the activity. We enjoy the activity. We have here our classmates don't enjoy the activity, but we do. So note that whenever we used but, the auxiliary came at the very end of the sentence. But we have here, if you are using and, there is a part that you can add as well. Moving on to the next part, which is the form, meaning, and function part. We have here the form, meaning, and function part. We discussed forming sentences. Now we did a lot of forming within the semester. We used the past, the present simple, the perfect tense, and you can see here we are going to write the essay. We write different essays. Some of us enjoys writing and some have already written the essay. So these are just examples of what we have did. We have also used the future, the gerunds as well, the infinitives. But basically in this part we are going to just focus on the last one, which is using have or has, which is the perfect tense. So let's just move on to the perfect tense. We said that the present perfect tense is either using has or have in the sentence plus the past participle, or you can use has or have in the sentence plus verb ing, and of course there is been in the sentence. Now we discussed how to use them in the sentence, and we agreed that they connect the past to the present. For example, we had these examples actually. We have here a lady has been sitting in a taxi for a long time. She looks fed up. Two friends have been catching up over a cup of coffee. They have drunk 4 cups. Now here you can see that we have here the two structures. We have been plus verb ing. We have also have here and the past participle. A man has been directing traffic. A businessman has been talking on his phone. A man with a bag has waited for a taxi for a long time. He is soaking wet. So here we said that they are two structures, but they can have the same meaning. Now, for example, here, he has lived there for 10 years, or he has been living there for 10 years. It can have the same meaning, but actually one focuses on the action or the result, which is going to be the first one, the present perfect simple. And the present perfect progressive, it focuses on the time of the action more. So here you have to be very, you have to concentrate on what do you have in the sentence. Of course, we mentioned before and now that you can use either since or for or any other kind of time expressions in the sentence, which are of course related to the present perfect. And we said also that you can also use the present perfect to show annoyance. Now we can say, for example, I haven't slept at all. My phone has been ringing all night. We can say who's been eating the cakes and there is only one left. Yes, now here we have an exercise. Now it needs to be, you need to concentrate on it. So here, let's just agree that we have to use the present perfect simple because it shows action, unless there is something in the sentence that focuses on time. So we are going to use, as I said or mentioned, we are going to correct the sentences or complete them using the verbs between brackets. We are going to structure the sentence using the present perfect simple. You have to just focus on what is the subject, is it singular or plural, to decide either to use has or have. We are going to move on with the present perfect simple. When we see something indicating time, we can change it into the present perfect progressive. So let's start. Now, Noura, is that you? Sabah, I, not see you. So I takes actually have, and I want see in the past participle, and there's negative. So we can say, I haven't seen you since your graduation. How you be? So we have here, how have you been? You can see that we have here have you and been as the past participle. It is not here the progressive, no. We have here, it's just the past participle of be. And here we switched because we have a question. How have you been? Great. It be that long. So we have here, has it been that long? So we have here, this is a question. So what you do these days? We have here, what is the action? We can say that, what have you been doing these days? Here, why did I choose to use the progressive? Because you can see that we have here, have you been doing? Because the question had these days. We have here these days that indicates time. You won't believe it, I teach English at our high school. So we have here, I have been teaching English at our high school. So also we used here the progressive because it is the answer for the question. Now the question was related to this time or these days, what have you been doing? That's why she answered and she said that I have been teaching. I have been teaching English at our high school. Really? So you have got your degree as a result or an action. Your degree in English at last. That's good news. How long have you been working there? Also, the question how long indicates time. How long have you been working there? I have been there since the start of last semester. So the result, or what am I doing as an action, that I have been there since the start of last semester. What about you? How's your mom? We have here, has she made any more beautiful clothes? So this is an action question. Oh yes, she has just finished. We used here has because we have here she. She has just finished a new dress for me. That reminds me, we have spent all month planning a dinner party for my grandma. So we have here also an action. We have spent. That's what the dress is for. I have been planning the menu all morning. Now using all morning in the sentence indicates time. We're going to make all her favorite foods. That sounds like a delicious feast. I'm sure your grandma will enjoy it. Would you like to come? I have written an invitation to send to you. What are you doing on Friday afternoon? That's kind of you. I haven't got anything special to do this weekend, so I'll ask my parents if I can come. Good, well, I must go now. Mom has been waiting for me. So has been waiting indicates time. She says we have been talking too long. Also using too long here in the sentence indicates time. Okay, bye for now. I'll let you know about Friday for sure. So we applied both structures in the sentences. And as I mentioned that you can use either since or for in the sentence. We can also apply using the adjective plus the gerund, or the preposition plus the gerund, like the examples that we have here. Now, I'm not very good at playing sport. I'm fascinated by traditional stories and books. I'm interested in reading all sorts of stories. Now, these are just examples, and you can see that they are related to words which are connected to hobbies and interests as we took. We have here a lot of hobbies and interests that we discussed. And we have our last exercise. This is just a choose exercise here. Now, Circle the correct words to complete the descriptions. We have the first one. Ahmed will probably become a writer or a novel. So Ahmed will not become a novel. We have here he will become a writer. One day, as he always been, a bookworm, which indicates, or which we mean, a person who reads a lot. If you want to keep or play fit, so we have here the word fit, which is related to the word keep, and meet new people, I'd recommend joining a sport or a club where you can take part. So people usually they join clubs, yes. Andy is so good with or at tennis. So when you have a sport which you are good, you don't say good with, you say good at. That has won several prestigious awards or stickers. Of course, something that is prestigious is an award. Noura has always been fascinated by poems, and now she's writing her own poetry. I'm not the slightest bit interested in reading detective stories. So these are just examples for what we took concerning hobbies or interests. In our grammar and form, meaning, and function part that we took in Unit 6, we discussed the infinitives and gerunds. We turned them into the passive form. We also connected sentences using and or but. We also used auxiliary verbs at the end of these sentences. And then in the form, meaning, and function part, we had the present perfect simple, also the present perfect progressive. We used with them since and for in the sentence. We had another rule, which is adjective, preposition, and gerund together in the sentence, which can be easily applied using words connected to hobbies and interests. So these are the basic parts that we took in Unit 6, which is, of course, in the grammar, form, meaning, and function. We have studied a lot. We have passed by a lot of grammar rules, vocabulary within the units. We started by working as a team in the first one, which was 2 is better than 1. We got to know about famous figures, which are real people that have turned or changed themselves from rags to riches. They progressed and accomplished a lot, which moved them to the future. And then we just moved on to the unit, which was about what will they think of next. Then we had our enjoyable unit, which was the world of TV and what are the things that we can watch on TV, which led us to a very important issue, which is, do you really need it, concerning advertisement and shopping in general. And then we have a fascinating, or had a fascinating unit at the end, which is about the gender divide and the information that we have learned about them. So we did a lot of work, we progressed a lot. We hope that at the end that you have benefited from the lessons and you, inshallah, have studied well. And we just end our lessons with saying, نسأل الله العظيم أن ينفعنا بما علمنا أن يبارك لنا فيه.